Hey everyone, I just wanted to hop on because I was looking into the astrology of what's happening at Columbia University right now. And I found some interesting stuff. And so, yeah, I wanted to talk to you guys about it, see what you think. So, I pulled up the chart for when the protests started at Columbia on Wednesday, when people started putting up tents. Um, and right, we've had 5 days of protests and things seem to be escalating. So, of course, my astrologer brain is going to be like, what is going on? Let's look at the history of this. How important does this look? Right. I don't have any connections to Columbia University. I don't really know about this. So, this is all just cursory, me and my astrology brain um, getting hyperfixated for a moment on what's happening. Right. So, you know, I'm looking at um, yeah, all of the Aries stuff going on. For all of these charts that I'm going to look at, I just use the 12 p.m. time, which just gives us the middle of the day of any of these days. But okay, so we start with this. The main thing that I'm thinking about is that we just had an eclipse on April 8th at 19 degrees of Aries. And so, right, we've got Chiron there, Mercury just got back there. We've got all this Aries energy happening here. This is the chart for the beginning of the protests. It said sometimes on Wednesday, noon seems like an accurate thing. Now, as we start to go back, in my research of Columbia University, I'm looking for a kind of founding chart. And it looks like it's been through a lot of these kind of big moments of being renamed several times, of going through these kind of spaces, and then also having really big protests against the Vietnam War in 1968. So I went all the way back to the beginning. This is what I found. The first charter that made it kind of anything was May 25th of 1754. The big things that I'm looking at here are, again, okay, we've got the North Node in Libra, we have the South Node in Aries, so we have, right, the founding chart, the nodal story of Columbia University. What would become Columbia University is this Aries Libra. I don't think we have an ascendant because we don't have a time. If you guys have more information, I'd love to hear about it. We have Venus in this rough founding chart. In Gemini, we've got Mercury in Taurus. We have Uranus in Pisces. We've got Saturn down here in Capricorn. Now, right, Columbia would get the grant from King George II and become King's College after this, and that happened in October. So the nodes were still in the same place, October of 1754. Now, after the Revolutionary War, it couldn't be called King's College anymore. So on May 1st, 1784, it was renamed Columbia College. And let's look at that. So when we look at that, okay, we see that was their Saturn return, right? We're figuring out what's going on there. The sun on that day was at the place of their natal Mercury. Mercury and Chiron were in this conjunction that we just had the Jupiter-Uranus conjunction on. It's still there, right? Jupiter-Uranus conjunction went exact on Wednesday when the protests started. And look, we've got Venus right here at 15 degrees of Aries, right where we had our eclipse. And maybe most notably, we had Pluto in Aquarius. So, right, we can make the argument that this is a pretty good founding chart for Columbia College. Now, Columbia College stayed Columbia College throughout much of the 19th century. And then in 1896, started picking up other colleges, went through some upheaval there, and was finally renamed Columbia University in July 17th of 1912. And would you look at where the nodes are? So again, we have, and one of its nodal returns, We have the South Node in Libra and the North Node in Aries. Yeah, and we have Uranus right here in Aquarius, right? Which is where Pluto is right now, creating this kind of significant change. And yeah, that's what we see. Finally, when we look at the other very famous protests that Columbia College is known for, at least in a very cursory way, right? When we look that up, oh, look, the nodes are back there. We've got the North Node in Aries. We have the South Node in Libra. We've got a Venus-Saturn conjunction right on the North Node, right where we just had the eclipse a week ago. We have their Mars right where that Jupiter-Uranus conjunction is, right at this very moment. Clearly, these are very potent points for Columbia University. Bringing it back to the beginning of these protests, right? We have Venus again on the North Node with Mercury, with Chiron. Something's going on there. I don't have too much to say about it besides that it looks like, right, that the North Node and the South Node placements and eclipses in Aries and Libra are really tied to these kind of major events happening at Columbia University. Okay, that's what I got. Yeah, I would love to know if you guys have more accurate birth times, thoughts, right, really vitriolic comments in either direction about what's happening will be removed and not responded to. Yeah, but dedicated comments to the investigation of the astrological themes and patterns in this, of course, are welcome. Thanks, everyone.